The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 154.
Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of courageous women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Want to learn how you can change your inner beliefs and attitudes? Download a free copy of the ebook by visiting thetaoofselfconfidence.com.
Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on today. She is a network marketing professional, blogger, and best-selling author, so pretty excited to announce that. And she's here today to share her story on self-confidence and tips and the story and what she has gone through. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Michelle Carey. Michelle, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sheena, for all that you do for all of us women. And so basically a little bit of background. My husband and I are a husband and wife team in the network marketing profession. We've had our business for over 8.5 years, and we also are trainers and bloggers for the profession. We came out with our book. It's called Don't Be That Guy in Network Marketing, and it's centered around network marketing etiquette. And I am excited to say we launched officially on Amazon, and we ended up ranking number 1 for the network or for the business etiquette category, and also number 1 for the Kindle multi-level. So we're super excited for that journey to continue.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Michelle, what's your cultural background?
I am Filipino. I was actually born and raised in South Lake Tahoe, California, but my parents came from the Philippines in the 70s, so I'm actually first generation Filipino American.
That's awesome. What would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote comes from 2 Timothy 1-7 from the Bible, and it's, "For the Lord did not give you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind." And I just love that quote because I come from, in my life early on, just being bound by fear. I just let fear keep me from taking risks, keep me from chasing after my dream and success. And so now that I've been able to break through my fears and I'm stepping into out of my comfort zone, it seems even more these days, I sometimes have to contemplate on that. And I have to always remind myself that fear is not a part of me, but fear is apart from me. And so whenever I meditate on that, I'm able to do what I need to do in the moment.
Thanks for sharing that. And I love that you said fear is apart from me because, we all get scared, right? We all have our fears. I mean, I've had fears stop me from doing, some of the things I've always wanted to do. And especially with Asian women, right? We're always told just to lay low, don't do anything crazy. Right. And, that stops us. And we have to remind ourselves that, fear, stands for false evidence appearing real. It's not real, and we can change it in an instant, right? When we choose to. So really love that, that quote that you mentioned, or Bible verse. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
Well, I think first off, I believe self-confidence is being unapologetic of who you were created to be and just even loving everything, including your flaws. And I want to take that a step further from being able, when ultimate confidence, I think, is being able to draw your confidence from within and not from external circumstances or praise of people. For example, just coming from a lifestyle where I was very fearful to do anything because I just cared so much about what other people thought. Finally, when I started to do things in my strength zone and I started to have success, I would get praise from people for the first time in my life. My parents, they love me a lot, but their love language was never affirmations, so they didn't understand that. But as far as the praise of people, I started to really feed on that, and I started to find that I was drawing my identity from the praise of other people. And that was dangerous because when I started to get criticism, when Sheena, you kind of know when you put yourself out there in the public, when you're online, it's very easy for people to take jabs at you sometimes. And so I would get crushed and it would totally throw me off, even to the point where one time I had a stomach ulcer because I was so crushed that I found out I didn't do a good job on something. And so I really started to have to draw myself away from relying on the praise of people. And I heard a really great quote leader said that if you live by the praise of people, you can also die by the weight of their criticism. And it's true. So I think ultimately being able to look within, and everything that you were created to do is perfect, and understand that's really where we should be as far as self-confidence goes.
I love that definition, and I always believe, that self-confidence is an inner game, because, the external, it's great, but it goes away, right?
Right.
You get your rah-rah, and then the next day it's like you're back to your old self again, and you're feeling down. So it's so important that we have to work on ourselves every single day. It's our responsibility to do that. So I really love that definition that you mentioned. And Michelle, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
It was really rocky. I actually battled with anxiety in my college years. And so it got to the point where I actually went to the hospital a few times because I thought I was dying, and I didn't know what was going on with me. And I just remember one day I was sitting in my room and completely feeling lost, and the room was shaking again. And I called my brother and I told him, man, I don't know what's going on with me. I think I'm going crazy. I need to come home. So I took myself out of that, and I just went on a journey to really figure out, that's not who I am, and that's not what my plans were for my life. So why am I suffering from this anxiety? And it just brought me to a journey of really getting solidified in what that looks like and what it should be for myself. So it was really scary at one point, and I just attribute personal development and just really diving into that helped me become, and I was also supernaturally healed from the anxiety. Good news is I never had to, go on antidepressants or anything like that. But I think after being healed, it's just the personal development that kept me from going back.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, not a lot of people realize when they're in like in a negative position, or they're not really sure of themselves, these health issues do pop up, right? And when you start doing personal development, it kind of goes away. And I know it's kind of like unexplainable, but, there's things that I used to deal with, and it's like gone, right? Because people don't realize your body is so important. Your body is telling you things that you have to do to fix yourself internally and, physically. So like you having anxiety attacks, right? That's from you were before, like you were scared, you didn't really know what to do. And, I had the same thing. I had anxiety attacks too. And when I have to talk to somebody that I didn't know, and I was just like, oh my God. Right?
Wow. The host of a successful podcast.
Yeah. So, it happens to everyone. So, what was that point in your life when you realized, you can overcome it and you can be, the person that you are today?
It would be, I realized one thing is that our calling, we all have a call over our life, and that our Creator planted everything that we need to fulfill that calling and step into our destiny inside of us already. I used to be the type of leader, and this is one of my regrets as a leader, is I told people they needed to be different in order to have success, right? I would mentor some people, and I regret that because they already have everything that they need to become successful and be triumphant in their life. And we all have what we need already. I like to also, relate it to an acorn. You have this little acorn seed, and everything that it needs to become a mighty oak is already inside of it. And the factors of it growing into that oak and how big that oak is going to be is the environment, the soil that it's planted in, and the nutrients that it draws from it. And so that will determine, the growth. And so that's the same with our lives. It's our environment that we put ourselves in. That was a huge aha moment for myself, because I started to notice that when I was in, the circles that I wasn't supposed to be in, and I wasn't doing what I was passionate about, and I felt lost, that's when I was really having those anxiety attacks. So my environment was completely wrong. On top of that, I wasn't, feeding my mind anything. I don't think a lot of us graduate from high school and people tell us, hey, you got to still learn and personally develop. I think we all just kind of say, hey, I'm done with school, now what? But luckily I had a mentor that really took me under her wing and said, hey, you need to still work on yourself. Here's some leadership books. And so it's what I started to ingest. And just over time, my aha moment came that it's always been within me. I just bought into the world and the media telling me who I needed to be and who I needed to look like to be successful, instead of just believing that I am enough.
Thanks for sharing that, Michelle. And I think we all go through that, right? We all feel like we're never enough, but in reality, we are more than enough. And
yes,
we're placed in certain times in our life for a reason. It could be a blessing. It could be a lesson, but I always believe that, things happen for a reason. So, after that, what's your life have been now?
It's been amazing, just because I feel like I'm really starting to step into my calling, and life is just so short to not do what you're passionate about. And I feel like finally I'm being aligned with what I've been put here to do. And, it's been a journey, because I believe that what a lot of times, I don't know if, you could relate to this, but your calling also has a lot of fear in it. And that's because I think the enemy of our souls always tries to give us doubt, so we don't step into our calling, because once we do, then we're powerful and we have the ability to change the world, And so I think now it's like when I've been able to really realize and tap into not having that spirit of fear, that it's just exciting to know that we're actually doing things of purpose, and ultimately just really being able to help other people.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I believe like anything that's big, right? It's always going to feel scary.
Yeah.
But you got to feel the fear and just do it anyway, right? I mean,
right.
If not, then we're going to be stuck in the spot that we're in. And then we're realizing, why aren't things happening the way that I want them, right? So it's really important to just face it, even if it scares you. I mean, it can be a good thing too, right? Because you're doing something so amazing, so big, that can actually change the world. Because I always believe it just takes one person to make a ripple effect. So
absolutely.
So, thanks for sharing that. And Michelle, if our listeners, they're in their similar journey, they're in their own journey of self-confidence, they're going through some things, what'd be that one tip you would give to them?
I would say the biggest tip is watch what you ingest. And what I mean by that is, what you feed your mind. I'm still on the journey of trying to get my diet in order. I have a huge sweet tooth. But as far as, what you feed your mind and personal development, I've been really disciplined in, and that's been the single most reason for the huge change that I've experienced in my life. I know that I'm probably preaching to the choir here, because I think the ladies that are attracted to your show are probably go-getters, and, they probably already invest in themselves and personal development. But I would even go as far as get rid of the TV, because there's just so much out there that is warring against, the belief that you have everything within, that you should believe in yourself. The media out there is telling you who you have to be and who you have to look like and what you have to do to be happy. And I just think that it's such an opposite of what is true. So I just think, just keep on the path in personal development and you will be okay. And once you focus on yourself and growing yourself first, the natural byproduct is going to be a growth in your business.
Awesome. Great tips. And I truly, believe that too. You got to be careful what you take into your mind, right? Because nobody really realizes how powerful your mind is. I mean, it stores so many things, even from childhood, that, may affect your life right now. So, I'm a firm believer of that as well. So thanks for sharing that. And Michelle, if our listeners would like to get to know a little bit more about what you do, or just you in general, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, so basically probably the easiest would just be to visit our personal website. It's adamandmichellecarey.com. Michelle is spelled with 2 L's and the last name is Carey. So adamandmichellecarey.com. From there, you'll be able to get to all of our social media channels, but that would be just the easiest. And if you want to drop us a line from there as well, that would be awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Michelle, you can also head on over to the taoofselfconfidence.com and search for Michelle's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just really want to thank Michelle for taking the time to share her story and journey with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sheena. It's a great time.
Not a problem. To our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit thetaoofselfconfidence.com for links to everything we chatted about today, as well as killer resources, gifts, and so much more. Subscribe to the Tao of Self-Confidence on iTunes or Stitcher to hear more stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence.